Fix in the morning. Karibu sana to the Morning Fix. This is the throwback edition on Thursday. My name is Mariam Bishar.
Most bankable host Brian Aseli. Thank you for choosing us. We love you this morning for doing that, and we are known for as an authority when it comes to news, and that's why we would like you to grab your Daily Nation and go through it with us, and of course other stories making headlines. But first things first, what Africa wants. What does Africa really want? One thing we need to know is that we just had the Africa Climate Summit. It was completed yesterday, and the summit was attended by 15 presidents, United Nations Secretary General, that is Antonio Guterres, and U.S. Climate Envoy John Kerry. And according to the African Union, they've decided that it's going to be happening every 2 years.
Yeah.
And this will be just where Africa unites to give their recommendations on what should really happen. So those recommendations will be submitted to the United Nations just to make sure that they get to understand what we really want for Africa when it comes to matters climate change. Now, we are known to be the least contributors to the global climate challenges. So that's why we are requesting, that is why our presidents gathered, and I'm saying we because I'm part of the African nations. So that's why our presidents gathered and decided to give do a declaration, that is the Nairobi Declaration, and just say what they want.
Absolutely. So the Nairobi Declaration, among other things, says that global emissions have to be cut by at least 45% by 2030. So we have 7 years to do that. That's a Herculean task. Hopefully it can be done. Like you mentioned before, the Africa Climate Summit should be happening every 2 years. I don't know how they justify all the emissions from flying in all these delegates, because these people fly private, but that's a whole other different story.
And they have guzzlers as well.
Yes. Polluting nations must pay $100 billion annually. That's the reparations that Dr. President William Ruto was talking about the other day. Of course, global financial systems should be made fair to Africa. Our president also talked about that, the way we are unfairly termed as high risk for loans and end up paying almost 5 times more in interest as compared to European nations, for example. And of course, that we pursue a non-polluting growth that is green. So as we are trying to build industries, they should be more green. As we are trying to move to manufacturing, it should be more green, etc. It will be interesting to see how this plays out, because like you said, we are the least polluters, but we will bear the brunt of the changes that happen over climate change, extreme weather events, especially because we are not very well equipped to deal with them, to deal with extreme flooding, extreme heat, drought, famine, etc. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds in the next few years. Hopefully, a lot of the money that has been given, because quite a big amount has been pledged to Africa, is used in mitigating the effects of climate change for Africans, because we can't do anything about them polluting. We can't physically force them to not pollute, but at least we can spend some money ensuring that the effects of climate change are not adverse to us.
Yes, African nations had an agreement, and of course, as Mariam has said, this is a multi-billion-dollar deal. It happened during the Nairobi Climate Summit, and you can actually read Business Daily front page, talks about all the nations and who has actually pledged or are planning on giving Africa some money when it comes to the green growth agenda. So you can actually read the finer details of who gave what. Jeff Bezos is there. We've seen US funding for food security and climate resilience. We've seen other banks are willing to actually give money in the fight against that. But of course, there are things that we agreed on, maybe going through them a little bit. We have the global emissions must be cut by 45% in this decade. We have Africa Climate Summit being held twice a year. Polluting nations must contribute 100 billion, among many more.
Yeah, we've got some Usher and Pitbull coming your way with DJ Got Us Falling in Love. We'll be right back to look at some more news making headlines, including expulsions in ODM.
Usher, Usher, Usher.